Welcome to Meta Tripping, y'all. Happy Mother's Days to all of the mothers out there. All right, so we are dealing with some energies today, and I thought, why don't we just look into the best way to deal with these energies, to navigate it. Spirit guided me that this reading here will have a duration of about 3 days. So whether or not that's because these energies are going to last another 3 days, or because those who are tuning in, who will be tuning in specifically, will be dealing with these energies for the next 3 days. Whatever the purpose, that is the span that this reading is covering. All right. Oops. Alright, cool. Alright, so I'm still using the elemental spread, which I'm kind of, I'm digging because it gives just a little bit more than the mind, body, soul spread, but you get the same, placements as the mind, body, soul spread, but you also get to look at the kind of the centering of the self in the issue, like the culmination energy. And, you get a little bit more. Alright, so beginning with the all is mind consciousness, the air element suit, you have the King of Swords reversed. The energy that I'm getting with this card is, okay, so I'm getting that there's a processing of punishing male energies. Really it feels kind of like that patriarchal, but more from an air place. So it can be vindictive. It can be let me see what it's rooted in. What is the energy that this is rooted in? Okay, Spirit is saying old traumas. For any males, male energies, and obviously this is not all male. We're not talking about like necessarily divine masculine type energies, but it has a root in futility. Spirit is saying the feeling of futility that has brought, historically, because the vibe I'm getting is that we're processing, obviously with being in retrogrades with Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter, we're dealing with old patterns. Spirit's correcting me, saying systems, which is a heck of a lot more potent. We're dealing with old systems, old systematic energies that are cruel and punishing, lashing out, cutting, and this is in kind of in the mental consciousness stream. Spirit is saying it's being cleared out. Okay, so how this is affecting the feminine energies. Moving on to I might kind of move to one card and then go back to another card depending on how the energies sway me. But you have the Tower card, which is a soul development card. It's reversed. When the Tower card is reversed, it's a hell of a lot more gentle than when it's upright, but it's pretty much the same effect. So it's in this case, this is in the water suit, the water element the water element. This is a soul development area. This is an area where we're dealing with personal intimacies. This is an area where we deal with intuition, where we deal with nurturing, all of these things, and how fitting on Mother's Day, but this is a certain kind of Mother's Day, okay? So the Tower card being reversed here, the energies that I'm getting with it for a lot of people is I'm getting a lot of closed doors on old situation. Excuse me. On old situations. Kind of a like that's that, kind of the last straw energies. Now these could be because of situations, actual situations playing out today, or this can be from personal rumination. Spirit is basically saying it's time, I guess, to simplify it. I'm getting that the feminine, and this can play out, mind you, just like the masculine can play out through the feminine, because we have both within us. We have the whole yin-yang thing, and we're supposed to be balancing ourselves within, because if we're balanced within, our external reflection is going to reflect that. So the energy that I'm picking up here is really the feminine energy is taking the collective feminine energy, Spirit is saying for most, is taking account of the fact that it's like a drawing in, right? And this is not necessarily saying that the Tower card is always going to play out this way, but the closed door energy is from the feminine energy drawing herself back in, coming to terms with old disappointments. Spirit is saying returning her focus to where it needs to be. Trying to see what else is coming in with this card. Learning to let go of what isn't working, Spirit is clarifying. Reassessing, I'm picking up reassessing energy. Cleaning up your messes. The feminine energy is dealing with cleaning up her messes. Spirit is clarifying, saying things that she's let fall by the wayside. For those who found themselves in situations where their feminine energy hasn't been respected, there is, rather than, turn into a ball of fire behind it, it's almost like a necessity that a colder kind of response, and it doesn't have to be cold and cutting, but just a colder, detached response, even an Aquarian response, where aligning with a healthier state of mind, because we're seeing here that the masculine energies are really dealing with not being clear, feeling a sense of futility, feeling a sense of feeling powerless. And being in that position, it all depends on what you do with it. You know what I'm saying? If you're feeling like that, whether you're masculine or feminine, but just as the masculine energy, the yang energy, if the yang energy is feeling that way, you can either wallow in it, or you can go and look for someone to take care of you, or you can, I'm not saying these are healthy. These are usually the negative manifestations of it, unless you need to be taken care of and you've been rejecting it and you're finally kind of opening yourself up to that. But those who kind of have used others and had them do the work, carry the load and what have you, just out of a sense of their out of the masculine energy of the person kind of who's in a yang force, where they don't want to face that they have the power to overcome their challenges, it can turn into a low-key abusive energy, and it can turn into a high-key abusive energy, depending on how it's playing out. If it turns into a high-key abusive energy, that's usually, when a person is fed up with feeling powerless, but the energy is totally playing out wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's almost repeating traumas. Spirit is saying it is repeating. So it's not almost, it is repeating traumas. They can be generational. We're dealing with generational stuff, y'all. A lot of this stuff is not ours and never was. Okay. But repeating the abuser kind of strategies of letting off steam the wrong way by finding someone considered smaller, or out of an envy, trying to make someone smaller to feel bigger. So these are some of the pitfalls today. Anyone who's falling in that mind state, because this is the mind state area. Anyone who's falling in the kind of the, whether it's low key or high key, but the abuser mind state, whether you're taking advantage of others, basically whether if you're inappropriately utilizing your mental energies, because mental energies they're supposed to be yang. You know what I'm saying? But in a healthy way. They're supposed to be balanced yang, right? So they're not supposed to be coming from a place of leeching. They're not supposed to be coming from a place of just a vampiric, because abuse is vampiric, bottom line. No matter how it appears, abuse is vampiric. It's getting someone else for their energy, getting someone else for their power. Rather than putting your mind dealing with hermetic laws, the Kemetic school of thought, dealing with mentalism appropriately, and actually utilizing your mind and your intelligence to navigate your own personal labyrinths, like a G. You know what I'm saying? A spiritual G, as it were. Being your own Haru, being your own hero, utilizing your resources, your talents, overcoming your challenges by continuing to rise up no matter what tries to knock you down, because eventually you overcome. You get stronger, and even if you have to keep leveling up as in a video game and dealing with that next fear, manifesting as a monster, or manifesting in people, or manifesting in a job that's sucking the life out of you, or manifesting in, the wrong partners who show you that they don't appreciate you, and you stay in it until you get to the point where you are appreciative of yourself enough that you don't subject yourself to these kinds of people anymore. This is how we utilize the challenges that come at us in life, by rising above. And this is not to say we're going to do it perfectly every single day of the week. But those who are finding themselves in a lash out space, to whatever degree and wherever it is on that scale, the advice here would be, get the rest you need, Spirit is saying. This energy isn't going to be lasting that much longer, Spirit is saying. You really just need to get rest. Spirit just keeps pushing rest, okay? Those who are on the other end of it, and they're dealing with low-key abusive energies or high-key abusive energies, Spirit is saying you teach others how to treat you, so perfectly put. Spirit is saying don't take it. Don't take it. Spirit's saying, why are you taking it? Analyze that, Spirit's saying. I'm being directed to move on to the next card. Oh, I'm being directed to move on to the third card. All right. So if we need to come back to the feminine energies, we will. But basically the feminine energies are just kind of at that not having it point and reprioritizing now. So this is what's going on with the emotional strain, because that is ruled by the feminine. It's a reprioritizing of self, a re-identification with self. Moving on. Interesting. You have the King of Swords on one side and the air element placement, and the fire element placement, which is the direct polarity on that particular axis. You have the King of Staffs reverse, and they're in their actual places, because the swords are air and it's in the air element position, and then the staffs are fire and it's in the fire element position. However, both of these cards are reversed. So in the spirit area, in the fire area, you have the King of Staffs reversed, and this is usually whenever you have staffs, aka wands reversed, you're usually dealing with some level of burnout or some level of misappropriation of fire energy. Okay, so we all know if fire is out of control, y'all, it is a problem. And the problem with fire element energy is if it becomes destructive, it is very difficult to contain. It can spread. If it's on the burnout end, it needs to look at where it's being leached. Okay, this is also a divine, or I should say, this is also a masculine placement. This is more of a pure yang type of energy, fire. The air energy is closest to yin, because it can give and take. We're talking air is like communication. It's the mind. So it can speak and it can listen. Fire element energy is dew energy. And for the king to be there, this is saying that the king is not sitting so well on his throne. This can be you as a female. This can be you as a male. But we're talking about a certain degree of direct energy I'm getting from this card. Spirit said wallowing. The energy that I'm picking up from this card, it's that powerless energy. It's like being underwater. It's where are the solutions? That's what I'm getting from coming through this card. Like a bit of anxiety, but like underwater anxiety, trapped tears, frustration. I'm getting visuals of being underwater and needing to come up for air, but kind of finding a door and not being able to get through the door to get that air. Which is interesting that I'm getting that visual because, air feeds fire. And even more interestingly, Spirit is saying the divine, and Spirit is emphasizing divine masculine, is learning to sit with his emotions. He has no choice. Because the divine feminine is not doing the work for him anymore. Spirit is saying she can't. It will literally destroy her to do your work for you. So she's learning, Spirit is saying, self-preservation. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Okay? Spirit is directing me to move on to the earth element card. Now, when we talk about the earth element, we're talking about what physically manifests in this realm. And we know it's a whole process. It starts with thought. It goes into its gestation phase in the astral. It gets fueled by fire. And then boom, after the doing portion, whatever needs to be done to bring it into this realm, it enters this realm and becomes physical, a physical fact, if you will. What we have here is the Four of Swords reversed. Now, upright, and this is an air card, swords are air, but it's reversed, just like we see with the King of Swords reversed in the air element, and no surprise here. So we're dealing with a pattern that started out with futility, and boom, in the earth element position, in the manifestation position, this has produced this non-rest state. Okay, so I'm going to get into that a little bit deeper, but I really want to just go through this whole process, right? I love this spread. I love this elemental spread, and I'm really feeling like I'm going to be using this a lot more moving forward. I haven't used it in some time, and I think it's one of my favorites because it goes through the manifestation process, and we're also concerned, very, very concerned with manifestation, especially during a Saturn and Capricorn transit, which this is a long-lasting transit, y'all. So, long enough, because Saturnian energies are no joke, right? So if you start off with futility, that creates low-key or high-key abuse or misappropriation of female energies. And we don't even have to make this a male-female as far as human context thing. This can even just be within the self, right? So if the mind, out of a sense of futility, is dealing with these abusive energies to whatever degree, or these misappropriation energies, And this causes a closed door. You know what I'm saying? A closed door in the astral, a closed door in the emotional realm. Now we have spirit that's not receiving any fuel. There's no conduit for thought, thought manifestation powers, energies to pass through, to be wielded in any kind of scepter towards one's goals. Okay, so through neglect, misappropriation, mistreatment of feminine energies, this can be our own emotions. This can be what we do to ourselves, or what we do to ourselves by allowing others to do it to us. Okay, so we could be our own abusers, as some of us have been taught in childhood to do, by magnetizing abusers. And sure, they'll play out those parts because they match the energies, and they're a match to those energies because that's where they're at on their own paths. But at the end of the day, if we don't allow that, if we're using our minds, if we're turning this King of Swords energy, male or female, upright, and we're using our minds to strategize whatever it is we have to strategize, we're not going to end up in a position where things have to be destroyed or the tower has to be bolted up and we have to close ourselves up in it. You understand what I'm saying? So all of that to say, this futility energy has caused this closed door, which has caused a dispirited, unenergized energy to prevail. And boom, now we're in this non-rest state because the direct polarity for water is earth. And if the water is not flowing, then the earth is not getting watered. And so the earth can't rest. It can't have rest. It can't grow anything. It's inert. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have any flow energy to it. And you get nothing done. You get nothing done if you have no flow. And all of that flow starts with the feminine. This feminine energy, this is the supporter energy. This is the portal energy. This is how things pass from one state to another. It can be very mutable. It's able to take on all sorts of shapes and forms. This is the creative energy of manifestation. All right. The masculine energy is energizing. Okay, so these are supposed to work together. So whenever there's going to be an interruption between male and female energies, you end up with nothing if there's no harmony between them. You're not going to have electricity without a positive and negative polarity working together. All right? So what we're dealing with, and this is why patriarchy is dying. This is why all of these systems are collapsing. This is why we're seeing, all of these scandals with the Catholic Church. It's not a surprise. You know what I'm saying? We saw what happened with Notre Dame. And for some, it was a very emotional experience. But if we can remove the emotionalism from it and we can look at the symbolism from it, the church ended up in the position it ended up on through a lot of misappropriation, a lot of grabbing resources that didn't belong to the church, the oppression of women. So these are it's Pluto and retrograde cycle, y'all. We look at the skeletons in the closet, point blank, period. Okay. Whether it's comfortable or not, Pluto does not care if you're comfortable because it's clean out time. It's time to look at where have power abuses taken place? Where is power not being utilized the way it should be utilized? Power is that flower. Power is that dandelion pushing through concrete, finding a way to grow in the city, despite the structures that have been placed upon it. That's power, y'all. That's that Haru energy where you push past your obstacles. That's power. Power is not power over. Power is not abusing something smaller than you or taking advantage of something smaller than you. You understand what I'm saying? Or perceived to be smaller than you. Something that in some sort of way you feel like at this time you can utilize your might to kind of suppress it. And again, this can be something we do to ourselves. This can be something that is done to us. And we can't allow it. You know what I'm saying? In either way, shape, or form. If a person's feeling abuser energy is working through them from generational patterns, then they have the responsibility to break that cycle and to go get the help they need and let those tears flow. Because you can only have that male abusive energy, and I should say masculine abusive energy, if tears aren't flowing, if emotions aren't being acknowledged. So finger pointing and victim blaming, and I'm not into any kind of genderist nonsense. We have both of these energies running through us, and we have both sexes utilizing the energies incorrectly. And this is a cycle, what we're dealing with, all of these stresses the world has been dealing with is simply to get things back into a harmony state between the masculine and the feminine, point blank, period. All right. With the earth element card, just to go back to that, we have what are the energies around this? The energies I'm getting is that people know that there's something that they have to do collectively, and it has to get done, and there's no avoiding it. So those things people haven't felt like picking back up and doing, time to do them. Those apologies that need to be given, time to give them. Those apologies that aren't being received, Spirit said, move on with your life. Don't sit there waiting for these apologies. Don't sit there waiting for someone to atone. Don't sit there waiting for someone to do right. Move on. Because if you're not providing, if you're not taking up the space of the victim, well, you will no longer have the abuser on the polarity side. You're no longer in that dynamic, you dig? You no longer have to deal with that. You don't have to do a balancing act. You step out of it. Be your own power. Do for you. Do for you, and keep those who really are just trying to get what they can get. Put it in perspective, and beyond being, civil, there's nothing else you have to give. And in some situations you can't be civil, because if you're dealing with someone that is off their rocker completely, do you have the energy to give to that? You don't. Close it out. You know what I'm saying? So at the root of all of this, the root and the culmination, and what is through this manifestation process, through this reassessing of manifestation process is what I would call it. The culmination, what's coming out of this in the next 3 days, is the Knight of Coins. And Spirit is quite simply saying, getting back on your square. And this is beautiful. Spirit's saying it's time to make those dreams come true. Yeah. Okay, it's time to make those dreams come true. And the Knight of Coins is an earth element card. So the reason people are finding themselves in a non-rest state where it's not so easy to rest, or even if you are able to get rest, maybe you're having dreams that make you not want to rest because the dreams aren't all that pleasant, because your psyche's trying to communicate similar things to you. Why are you wasting your time on what's not paying out? Even exchange is the rule of the day. Get with it. All right. So the Knight of Coins is upright, thank goodness. So it does look like, for the most part, even though this is not a Major Arcana card, usually Major Arcana will tell you, like, this is happening, like, boom, this is where it's going, for sure. When you have Minor Arcana, which are the elemental suits, there can be wiggle room to change things. When we do readings, it's like looking at the branches on a tree of probabilities based on the way things are stacked now. So it's looking into the astral or looking into the ethers, and okay, what are the paths available based on past choices? Which roads are available to travel? Here you have the Knight of Coins, aka Pentacles, upright. Of course, there'd be the option of not doing that. I would not recommend not working towards your goals. I wouldn't recommend taking that path. The path that's being presented, and it's upright, so it's telling you it's prime time now to get in alignment with your goals on an earth element level. Earth element level doesn't always move fast, and that's cool. This is going to teach you patience. This is going to teach you, deeper levels of patience, deeper levels of discipline. And the beauty of that is it gives you more of a rootedness within yourself. This helps get you more in touch with your root chakra. It helps get you in touch with a harmony with the positive aspects of time. Spirit is saying not necessarily time. Okay, well, Spirit is saying autonomy, which is, I mean, I can dig it, right? Because whether you're dealing with restrictions of time or not, autonomy is always going to help you find a way. And Spirit's confirming that's correct. All right, so boom, get on your square. This is where this is leading. You can be gentle with yourself, but you don't want to wallow. You really don't want to wallow in disappointments. Really take a page out of the Aquarian playbook on the positive end and learn to shift your attention. It's not always going to be a flow during cycles, like this, or transitory passages of time like this. And when it's not a flowing cycle where you can emotionally work through things and everything falls into place, now you have to shift your attention to the next timeline. Shift your attention so that you can kind of insert yourself somewhere on a timeline that is in line with your goals. All right. Is there anything else that's coming with the Knight of Coins, aka Pentacles? Spirit is saying you have a lot of spiritual support. Get going. And that means a lot of things. And I would definitely recommend checking out yesterday's reading because those energies are available and present. But whenever we deal with shadow, which is really what, today there were some shadow energies that rose up. And those who this reading resonates with, who are going through it. How you deal with these things is you keep pushing through. You be that dandelion that pushes through the concrete. Okay? You can prevail. And you have spiritual assistance and support with you. So this means you prevail, you move forward. Spirit can make sure those doors open for you. So you don't have to sit here and worry about pushing forward and then boom, it's just not playing out like I was hoping. It will. The Knight of Coins is on the way to kinghood. To that autonomy of earth, that financial freedom, that being in your particular lane, abundance, flowering, all of that. The two overview cards for the yin and the yang, you have the Ace of Coins, aka Pentacles reverse. These are just to the side of the reading. And then the Lovers. And it's so deep how this all played out. So these are advice cards. And we also have the self-care card, which I like to pull. And that's the 12th card of the deck, which is I am worthy of respect. And we'll touch on that just before we close out the reading. Ace of Coins, aka Pentacles reverse, what I'm picking up with that. Divine Feminine, the yin energy, you're learning where you placed your eggs in the wrong basket. Spirit is saying, and I would imagine lovingly, get over it. Spirit said with tough love, all right, I respect it. Yeah, we do have to snap out of certain things. All right, moving on to the Lover's card. In the Yang placement, Spirit is saying the masculine energies are learning they cannot do it by themselves. They cannot dominate, Spirit is saying. They must learn to respect their partner. Spirit said, or enjoy life without a partner and see where that gets you. All right, so there's our tough love overview. All right, and I'm being directed to move on to the self-care card. Self-care card, I am worthy of respect, is pretty much self-explanatory. The subtext is quantum boundaries, okay, because this deck doesn't play. Spirit is saying, do what the foremothers were unable to do. Define yourself. Wow, okay, and Spirit's saying that's the message. I don't want to leave y'all with just that. The energy I'm picking up with this card is, I'm picking up, there's a lot of spiritual support. I'm picking up a lot of spiritual support around this card. I'm picking up like an are you ready to grow energy. and it feels like it's coming from the foreign mothers. That question. Kind of like you fell off your bike and the foreign mothers are like, all right, honey, dust yourself off. You ready to get back on? And you know what I'm saying? And make the finish line? You can do it. Do you believe it? Yeah, and basically the totality I'm getting of this is like, you can do it. And I'm strongly picking up that like there's all these spiritual energies waiting to open doors. Waiting to open doors, y'all. And Spirit's over here saying, get on it. All right. So I'm not going to take up too much more time. I'm going to close out here. I hope this was tremendously helpful. I know that it is in line with a lot of the readings that have been coming up. You know what I'm saying? We've been trying to get towards certain goals. It's a Saturn and Capricorn cycle. But before we could get to those goals, there were certainly boundary issues. So it's interesting that we're dealing with a quantum boundaries card because, you know, quantum is a level where you get things right in the quantum, at the quantum level of things. You definitely have things right on the earth level of things. All right. So there are things that just needed to be cleared out generationally out of just the whole setup. So we don't keep passing these patterns down to the babies so that the world doesn't continue to operate in this inequality energy that has some living high in the hog and has others left out in the cold. Like it doesn't work. It fragments things. It causes the planet to be hella confused, jacks up the whole natural balance, the way nature operates. And you know, going too much farther with it could certainly make the planet uninhabitable. And there are a number of ways that scenario could play out. Okay. We all play a part in this. Macrocosm to, you know what I'm saying? Microcosm to macrocosm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is all a matter of self-belief. At this point, doesn't matter who tried to beat you down anymore. Doesn't matter who was trying to steal your shine. Doesn't matter who was trying to use you as a beast of burden. These things mattered at one time. But now what's going to matter is if you're going to move forward. If you move forward, nothing can stop you because you have the universe on your side. You got spirit waiting to open doors for you. All right? And the way it's looking, the other side of the equation, those who want to stay on that kind of like low-key or high-key abuser tip don't even have the power to play with you like that anymore. It's time to move. All right? So sort these energies out. And I would say when you're dealing with the emotionalism of it, give yourself pep talks. I am enough. Utilize the theme card that came up for this reading, the 12th card in the in the sacred blooming suit. I am worthy of respect. Rock that out as an affirmation. We moving up, y'all. Doesn't always look like it in these days. There have been so many timeline shifts. It's unreal. But we are moving up. Keep your head up. Thank you for tuning in. Blessings and blessings on your ascension journeys. And I will be back when it's time for another message to come through, when it's most pertinent. Peace.